Forgiveness is the road that leads us to experience peace. Dear brothers and sisters, forgiveness is the channel through which we let God's grace come into us. Forgiveness is the channel that leads us to experience peace. And forgiveness is the channel through which we transform the lives of the people. Of this, Jesus teaches us in today's parable. There are two different images found in the parable. One is that of a king who is the image of God, who loves us with a love that is so rich in mercy and forgiveness. Another is that of a servant whose inconsistent behavior is same as us when we refuse to forgive our brothers and sisters. God's attitude is such that His justice pervades with mercy, whereas our attitude is just limited to justice alone. Today, Jesus exhorts us to open ourselves with courage to have an attitude of forgiveness and mercy, because in our life, everything cannot be solved with justice. Yes, it is true that it's not an easy task to forgive those who hurt us most, because our selfish heart is always inclined towards hatred, revenge, and resentment. But today Jesus teaches us, each one of us, to forgive each other. In the Gospel of Matthew chapter 5 verse 44, He comes up with something divine and sublime. He says, "Love your enemies and pray for those who persecute you." By these words, Jesus erased all the boundaries that divided people. By these words, Jesus transcended all divisions and hatred. So to say, Jesus gave us a love that knows no limit and no boundaries. And this He did not only through His words, but by His very life. Therefore today, the lesson for each one of us is that we should not treasure anger, resentment, and revengeful attitude towards others. For this is treasure of the devil, as Pope Francis would call it. But rather we must have the willingness to extend to others the forgiveness God has extended to us. Refusing to forgive those who have done wrong against us is to exclude ourselves from receiving God's forgiveness for our own sins. So the only road to peace with God and our neighbor is forgiveness. And there is no other way. It is in pardoning that we are pardoned. Forgiveness and forgiving are two sides of the same coin. It is said, "To err is human, but to forgive is divine." Yes, when we forgive, we become the true image of God. When we forgive, we reflect God in our lives. And finally, when we forgive, we lead others to God. Therefore, let us ask God to infuse in us the virtue of forgiveness so that we may be able to follow Jesus closely and live a life that is worthy of our call. Amen.